Well, a landmark ruling expected to come this afternoon in Oklahoma. A judge will decide whether Johnson & Johnson is going to be held responsible for the state's opioid epidemic that officials say led to more than 6,000 deaths over nearly 2 decades. A ruling against the company could mean more big payouts in similar cases across the country. This could really rough up the industry. Let's bring in attorney David Bruno. David, good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl.
We've been following this case here on Fox Business because of the implications it could have for other lawsuits out there.
Yeah.
Any way to game what we're going to hear today from that judge in Norman, Oklahoma?
Not really. This is a huge risk for Johnson & Johnson. Let's not forget there were 2 other pharmaceutical companies involved in this litigation that chose to settle. They did not admit any responsibility, but Johnson & Johnson's rolling the dice here, and it's possible. I mean, personally, for me, I think there's so many intervening causes here that could get Johnson & Johnson out of liability. For example, the FAA or the federal government did review all of this. You have the doctors that wrote the prescriptions and the individuals themselves that developed addictions and some overdose.
Well, but let me ask you this. You know, the crux of the state attorney general's case here is that it was the marketing, it was the way that they sold the pills, that basically they started production in the state of Oklahoma without knowledge. The officials say they had no knowledge of all of that. Wouldn't that be a lot different than ruling in other cases where the settlements were basically on just malfeasance in general? I mean, it's a different type of ruling today, correct? And can you explain what that means?
Yeah, right. I mean, you're really getting into the weeds of the facts here, and yes, every state's going to be different the way that they developed and marketed. So here we have just one state of the 50 in the union, so I think that every case will be different. However, they are running the risk, if they do get a judgment against them, the floodgates will be open across the United States against Johnson & Johnson and every other pharmaceutical company.
I think your point is well taken, that Johnson & Johnson took a big risk by taking this to trial and not settling like Teva did, for example. This is going to be big. It's 4 p.m. Eastern time today. We're getting that ruling. David Bruno, thank you for being here as always, sir.
Take care.